Hello and welcome to our channel. We're going to tell you a story. In a small and quiet village surrounded by hills, there lived a woman named Mira. She was once known for her joyful laughter, her flowing black hair, and her kindness that touched every heart. But now Mira was silent, her eyes always carrying a hidden sorrow. 3 years ago, Mira had lost her husband, Raghav, in a sudden accident. He was a kind and hardworking man who loved Mira deeply and adored their little boy, Ayan. But one rainy night, while returning home from the nearby town, Raghav's cart slipped on the muddy road. He never made it back. At the time, their son Ayan was only 3 years old. Mira's world fell apart. She was only 28, left alone to raise her son, with no money, no support, and no direction. The village felt her pain, but no one could truly understand what it meant to lose the love of your life and become both mother and father to a small child overnight. Mira worked tirelessly. From early morning, she would fetch water, cook, clean, and tend to a small patch of land that Raghav had left behind. She grew vegetables and sold them at the village market. Some days, she had nothing to eat except one roti and a cup of water, but she never let Ayan go hungry. People often whispered, "She's strong." But Mira didn't feel strong. She only knew that Ayan needed her. That was her only reason to live. Ayan, though young, was observant. He didn't remember much about his father, but he often asked questions. "Ma, where is Papa now?" Mira would smile softly and point to the sky. "He's with the stars, watching over you." The boy would then stretch his arms wide to the sky and shout, "Papa, I miss you." Each night, Mira would sing him to sleep with the lullaby Raghav used to hum. In the darkness, when Ayan had finally closed his eyes, she would silently weep. Her heart missed Raghav, and her hands ached from the day's labor, but she never let her child see her tears. One day, while returning from the market, Mira found Ayan crying in front of their home. He had fallen while playing and hurt his knee. She dropped everything and ran to him. As she wiped his tears, he said, "Ma, I want Papa." Mira held him close and whispered, "So do I, beta." Every day. That night Mira couldn't sleep. Her son was growing up. Soon he would ask more difficult questions. How would she explain the cruelty of fate? The emptiness left behind by a man who had once filled their home with music and laughter. The next morning, Mira decided something had to change. She couldn't live with only sadness. She needed to give Ayan not just food and shelter but hope. She took a brave step. She approached the village school and asked the headmaster, "Can I work here, cleaning anything, so I can afford to educate my son?" The headmaster, a kind man named Mr. Suresh, knew Mira's story. He nodded. "Yes, Mira. We need help in the kitchen. And your son, he can study here for free." Tears welled up in her eyes. She touched his feet in gratitude. From that day, Mira began working at the school. She cooked midday meals for the children and swept the classrooms. And in return, her son Ayan sat among other students, learning how to read and write. When Ayan brought home his first drawing, a simple picture of their home with a smiling sun, Mira framed it on the wall. That picture gave her hope. She whispered that night to Raghav's photo, "See, our boy is growing. He's making you proud." But even in hope, life continued to test Mira. Life moved forward slowly and silently, like a tired river flowing through rocks. Mira continued working at the school. She cooked meals with care, making sure each child was fed, especially her son Ayan, who was now 6 years old and showing signs of brilliance. He loved reading stories. He would sit under the neem tree in the schoolyard, flipping through pages and trying to read aloud. His favorite story was about a brave lion who never gave up. Mira would smile and tell him, "You are my lion." Despite the hard days, Mira found strength in Ayan's laughter. Every time he ran to her after school shouting, "Ma, I got full marks," it made all her pain disappear for a while. But life, as always, wasn't without its thorns. One afternoon, the school principal called Mira. "Mira ji, Ayan is a bright child. We want to send him to a city competition for young readers." But he needs better books and some support. Mira's heart was filled with pride, but worry followed instantly. Books, travel, clothes for the competition. Where would she get the money? That night, after Ayan slept, Mira sat by the lamp, staring at her empty wallet. She thought of borrowing money but remembered how often villagers spoke cruelly behind her back saying, "She's just a widow. Why does she need so much?" Still, her heart told her not to give up. She sold her last gold earring, one of the only pieces of jewelry she had left from her wedding. With that money, she bought Ayan new clothes, books, and a train ticket to the city, where the competition would take place. Ayan hugged her tightly when he saw his new shirt and said, "Ma, I'll make you proud." Mira kissed his forehead. "You already have." In the city, the event was grand, bigger than anything Ayan had ever seen. But he remembered his mother's words. "Speak from your heart. Always." When it was his turn to read, he stood in front of a large crowd and read a story titled, "The Woman Who Never Gave Up." It was not just a story. It was his story. His mother's story. He spoke about a woman who lost her husband but never lost her courage. A woman who worked hard, cried silently at night, but never let her child go hungry. The audience listened in complete silence. When Ayan finished, the hall stood up and clapped. The judges were moved. Ayan won first prize not just for reading, but for telling a story that came straight from his little heart. Back in the village, when he returned holding a trophy and a certificate, the entire village gathered to celebrate. Everyone wanted to meet the boy who had made them proud, and the mother who raised him. One elderly lady said to Mira, "You are not just a widow. You are a warrior." Mira smiled, tears glistening in her eyes. It was the first time someone had called her that. Soon, a teacher from the city visited Mira. "Your son is talented. With your permission, we want to sponsor his studies in a better school. All expenses paid." Mira folded her hands in gratitude. "Thank you, sir. You're helping my son fly." The day Ayan left for the city boarding school, he hugged his mother tightly and said, "Ma, I'll study hard. One day I'll become a writer. I'll tell the whole world about you." She whispered back, "Don't forget where you come from, beta. And never stop being kind." Time passed. Mira continued working in the school kitchen. She missed Ayan every day, but his letters filled her heart with joy. He would write, "Ma, I miss your roti and your bedtime songs. I won the school writing contest again. They say I write like someone who has seen life deeply. But it's only because I've seen you." Years later, Ayan returned, now a young man dressed in a simple shirt, holding a published book in his hand titled, "My Mother, My Hero." It had become a bestseller. He rushed to her, touched her feet, and handed her the book. On the first page it read, "To Mira, the light in my darkness, the reason I dream, the reason I believe in love and strength." The village welcomed Ayan with open arms. He gave speeches about education, about courage, and most of all about mothers like Mira. Reporters came. TV channels arrived. But Mira remained the same humble woman in her cotton sari and silent grace. She didn't need cameras or awards. Her prize was standing before her. Her son, a reflection of every sacrifice she had made. One evening, sitting under the same neem tree, Ayan said, "Ma, now I earn enough. You don't need to work anymore." Mira looked at the school across the road and smiled. "Let me work a little more, beta. There are still hungry children I want to feed." Rose story summary and message. This is the story of Mira, a woman who lost her husband but never lost her will to live. She gave her all for her son Ayan, who, in turn, honored her strength by becoming the man she hoped he would be. Their love, courage, and sacrifice light the path for anyone walking through darkness. I hope you enjoyed this story. Have you ever experienced? Share your stories with us in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories and adventures. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.